Alrighty, we are underway. Welcoming today Dale McPherson, owner of 3D Strength. I reckon one of the pound for pound strongest human beings on the planet, and also coach of multiple WSM competitors. So welcome, Dale.
Hey, mate.
What's been happening this morning? You've been coaching some clients?
Yeah, mate, I've had a few people in. I normally work like 13, 14 hours a day, usually Monday to Friday. Start at 6, average what, 7, 8 o'clock at night time, and then obviously all the online stuff on top of it as well. So it's pretty hectic sometimes. You can train up to like 30, 35 people a day at a time. So it gets quite busy sometimes. It's good though. I enjoy it.
Yeah. Any groups or just PTs?
So there's some groups on a morning, some groups on a night times, but what it generally works like at my place, I do one-on-ones, but a lot of it is, for example, everyone gets like a training plan. They get the own personalised training plan and they just train in the gym in our shadow. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I'll walk around shadowing and everyone's got their own training plan. It's a private training facility. So you come here, you get coached by me, and we'll do one-on-ones, or like you say, you'll follow your general training plan and we'll just go over things. And yeah, I just like a lot of the people who come are quite experienced in the sense of I can trust them to do things properly, you know. But if there's ever any issue, I'm straight on it.
Yeah, that's a really cool business model. You don't really see that. I've always wondered how that would work. So you literally nobody in your gym does anything but what you program?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So everyone's underneath me. Underneath me is like an athlete. I've got a lady who I've trained for a number of years who is like looks after the gym when I'm not here because I've taught her how to train people and things like that, and I trust her. So she can take over what I do when I'm not here or I'm away or whatever. So that's always good. It's very, very handy as well. And if I'm not in, for example, it's a lock and key base as well. So if I'm not in on a weekend and someone needs a key, they just come and train and they send me the training videos over and go over them.
That's awesome, mate. I love that idea. So I'll start with a couple of quick fire questions just to kind of get a few things out of the way first. So how old are you? You there? Have I lost you, Dale?
There you are. We're back.
Yeah. Dropped out for a bit. Alrighty, sorry. So I was going to start some quick fire questions. So how old are you?
29.
29, okay. And what's your favourite event in Strongman?
Farmer's Walk.
Yuck. You've got kids?
Got 2. I've got a son and a daughter. Frank's 12, Nancy's 18 months.
Oh, awesome. That's I didn't realise you'd had one so recently.
Yeah, I've got a little baby girl. She's absolutely mental.
Yeah. So how does that go with your work schedule?
Oh, hectic. So what I'll do is normally on a Wednesday, I'll go home and spend the day with her. So that's when I say when people do the plans and send me things over, and obviously the weekends. It's been a little bit more difficult the past few months because of all the giant shows and the Ultimate Strongman shows and going away and competing. So my fiance is very understanding, but I get my kids in as 100% as much as I can, like even on night time as well. I'll turn the phone off. It's all about them, you know what I mean? So it is quite difficult sometimes, though, but my fiance is very, very understanding.
Yeah. You need a supportive partner, especially when you're doing top level stuff. Does the young fella, does he get into the gym with you?
No, he's a gamer, mate. He's not having none of that yet.
Yeah.
Maybe one day, but at the moment, no. I've tried, but he just wants to play on FIFA and Fortnite and stuff. So let him be his own person.
Yeah. It's only don't force it on him, mate.
No.
So, do you have any time to watch TV? And if so, what's your favourite TV show? You got anything going on right
now? I've been watching Squid Game.
Yep.
Been watching Squid Game. That's really weird, but I like watching stuff like forensic sort of shows. So, like, like how to catch like murderers and things like that. I like watching stuff like that.
Yeah, they're awesome. Yeah, righto. So not much into the kind of dramas or anything like that, into the real life sort of shit.
Yeah, I like catching killers and that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. If you had to choose which one to fight, would you fight one Gav Bilton size goose or 50 geese size Gav Biltons?
Gav Bilton is the size of a lot of things, so I'd go for the big one because loads of little ones would just do you head in. I'd rather take one big massive blow instead of loads of little ones.
Yeah, so 180 kilo goose.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
All right, and last one quickly. Off the top of your head, your top three at Brits.
Oh, right. Here we go. Tom, Hicksy, Luke.
Yep, nice. That'll be a good battle there. That'll be good. There's some good events for everyone.
I've been getting stick off Terry because of that, because he's told me Bishop's winning it and all that. And I like, do you know something? If Bishop won it or was slipping into that top three, it wouldn't surprise me either. I've said that. They're my top four who can win it, I personally think, off the events. I think the other athletes are capable of doing very well. I just feel like there's some weaker areas in certain athletes that them four don't have, and they're more better well-rounded as whole strongmen. That's why I've said that.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. I think I heard you talk with Loz the other day. I think it is going to come down to the dumbbell, honestly. Who can kind of salvage the most points or even take the win with getting that 120 up?
Hicksy's been sending me some videos of the dumbbell, and it wouldn't surprise me how he's going. But that's Bishop's best overhead, the dumbbell.
Yeah.
As well. Tom's got better on the dumbbell. I've not really seen much of Luke on the dumbbell, if I'm absolutely honest with you. So, but when you've got shoulder power like him, you can never underestimate it either, you know what I mean? So, honestly, I agree. I think me and Dan Ipkiss said it's going to be a fast 3 and then to the 110, and then we'll go from there. I think a fast 3 is important, but Par's going to be the one who's going to mess that up.
Yeah, and I think Paul Smith might fuck some people up as well, get in there with a nice fast 3 as well. He's been putting up some good dumbbell numbers.
Paul's capable, 1,000,000%. The only reason why Paul's not going to be right up there is because of the deadlifts. Yeah,
well, he might get 3 on the 350. You know,
yeah, it's the same with the overhead. Because Andy's not there yet on the overhead, because Andy's only been doing this a couple of years, his gym strength isn't there yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the gym miles, they aren't quite there yet. So technically, when we're doing overhead, Andy's not that bad. It's just pure overhead strength is not there yet. And like, you don't just get a 180 log, do you, overnight?
No, I feel like also for the bigger blokes, they always seem, I don't want to be rude here, but they always seem almost a little bit unco when they start with those big overheads, the logs and stuff. It just seems the stability takes a little while to kind of come for the real big bastards when you're fucking 6'8".
I find the big lads prefer to strict press.
Just it out. Yeah. Well, there's just so much more distance to cover. You know, so many more moving parts that can go wrong when you're that fucking big.
Yeah, you're right, mate. Especially if you fall over and you've got about 400 kilo coming back on you.
Yeah.
In total.
It's massive. Right. Now let's talk about a couple of those guys, because you're starting to build up a fairly impressive coaching resume of world's competitors. Off the top of my head, you're working with Gav, Andy Black, Ervin Toots, and recently, obviously before he passed, Aaron Page as well.
Awesome.
So, talk through some of that. How'd you kind of get in contact with these guys? Did they contact you? And what happened there?
Oh, it was actually Aaron. Obviously, like I've had 3D strength for nearly coming up 10 years now, and I've done like a fair bit of my own share of competing on the lightweight scene and blah blah blah. And like people look at it to say like, oh, he's a strong guy. Do you know what I'm saying? He's like, even the heavyweights appreciate stronger, littler people. Do you know what I mean? And it was just one day I had a message. I remember I was in Costa because I train a guy called Ben Williams as well, he's overhead and stuff, and he basically started from nothing. 5 years later, he's done UK strongest man, England's strongest man twice. He's been the Arnold.
Did he come out to Australia with you in 2018? I want to say.
Yeah. Ben's phenomenal.
I competed in that comp with you two guys.
Yeah, honestly, Ben's overhead especially is mental now. It's crazy strong. So Aaron, just messaged me one day and says, "How do you train the way you do?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He went like, "It's mental, some of it." And then we got speaking, and he says, "Will you coach me?" And I was like, "You what?" And he was like, "Will you coach me?" He went, I see you train people." And yeah, if you want me to. And I basically started with Aaron from there, and then from Aaron, I started gaining a little bit more experience in the sense of dealing with professional athletes. And then I actually met Gav at UK's 2020. I was coaching Ben, and Ben got knocked out in the semis, but everyone was impressed with the way Ben performed in it because he was the new guy and he just blasted it. And then I remember we were wrapping Gav's knees up and stuff like that. And then he just messaged me a couple of weeks later, so he was saying, "Dale, will you coach me?" And I went, "Yeah, Gav, of course I will." He was like, "I like the way you train, blah, blah, blah. I've seen the way Ben is now. You are with people."
If I'm not mistaken, Gav actually won that, didn't he? 2020 UK?
Yeah, he won it 2 years in a row. Yeah, he won it 2 years in a row. First Welshman to ever win it. And then so I took on Gav. I've always been quite close with Andy since he pretty much started, kept an eye on him. Same thing with Andy. Andy messaged me and said, "Look, Andy Bolton does all my squats and deadlifts and stuff, but me and him have decided we need someone to take over the strongman side of things. And like, I'd love you to do it." And I was like, "Yeah, mate, of course I will." So then I took on Andy. Ervin, same thing, got in touch with me because I was training and stuff, seeing that I trained Gav. He got in touch, then we went from there. And it's just sort of like a snowball effect. Once Aaron gave me the kind of foundation for professional athletes to understand I know what I'm doing. And I think with me, it's not necessarily how I train people. It's more with how I am with you when you're my athlete. It's like, I don't just go, "There's a 12-week block, piss off, I'll see you in 12 weeks. It's literally daily, weekly, updates. If you've got a problem, you tell me, we'll work it out. If something doesn't work for you, but if I think it is working, I think you're being a lazy bastard, I also tell them as well, you know? So we've got that really good relationship with each other where we can be very honest. There's no bullshit. So I give you an example. I train Lewis Jack. He's just won Ultimate Strongman, Scotland's strongest man, another guy who's on the up and coming. And like, I do a lot of conditioning with these big guys. That's what a lot of people don't realise about my style of training. A lot of it is not max weights. A lot of it generally is moving faster, power, speed, explosiveness. It's all so important to being a good all-round strongman.
Yeah. So when you say conditioning, are you talking, I think it was your most recent post on Instagram, running around cones and doing foot drills and that sort of stuff. That's what you're talking about with the conditioning. You're not getting them running 3 mile down the road or anything like that.
No. A lot of it's all short bursts. So I'll give you an example. We've got Gav walking 3K every single day when he gets up for his breakfast because he needs to get his body fat percentage down. It's pure and simple. He's going to be faster. Holding too much weight, and that's never good. It's weird because Gav and Andy are kind of the same, but they're so different at the same time. Andy's walked around at that weight for that many years. He's comfortable with that weight. Whereas Gav, if we can get Gav down to 180, he's going to be a completely different animal next year. So that's the goal for next year for Gav.
Do you say get him down to 180?
Yeah, we're going to get him down to 180.
What was he starting at?
Oh, mate, when he was when we done Worlds for the first time, he was touching 205 kilo.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah. So we spoke to him. The thing is with Gav, it was when he first started, bigger was always better. Whereas you see now, I'll just use him as a massive example. You look at the size of Mateusz Kieliszkowski, he sits about 150 kilo, and he is huge. Tom Stoltman's, I think at Worlds is about 175, 180-ish at push. And like when I explain this to Gav, the less you've got to carry, the faster you're going to be. Less strain on your heart. You will not lose strength. Listen, there's no man 180 kilo who's a professional strongman who's weak at all. You'll be better for it. Does that make sense? And like, It took him a while to get round. Now he understands, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what
he put that all on in a real hurry. Is my understanding. When he first started, he was a bit lighter, and then he just went fucking whack and put on about 40 kilo.
He did. Obviously, it works okay at certain levels. So, like over here, when you're doing like UKs and stuff, it's a really hard competition. But because Giants shows and Worlds and that are so like bam, 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 you have to be physically conditioned for it. So when I say conditioning work, it's things like this, like shorter rest periods in between sets. So, for example, say, for example, we're going to do 300 kilo, 5 sets of 5 today. His rest periods on his warm-ups is him putting a plate on and he has to get straight back into his warm-ups. Then you have a maximum of 3 minutes rest in between because he has to be primed and conditioned for the event. Same with things like your moving events. We have to continuously break down the movement pattern all the time. So there's no point in me just going, right, we're going to do a 450 kilo yoke today, 2 sets of 20 meters, because that's not going to do anyone any good. He can pick up a 450 kilo yoke and move with it any day of the week because he's a big man and he's strong. But the stride patterns, the movement, breaking it down into 5, 10, 15, 20 meter patterns to see where the weak points are, to build his pace up and everything. Those are the key things when you start training professional athletes. The training is very basic, but you've got to know how to modify the training for that specific athlete. So I'll give you an example. Andy's never going to have a problem on stones for the rest of his life at all. But I don't make him train a lot of his strengths too much. So we do throw them in on events days, things like stones and farmers and things like that, because it's basic stuff. But we have to work on different things with Andy. So he's at a different stage to other people. So Andy has to do a lot more upper back work, a lot more core work, because he's already pretty much cracked the strongman side of things. But the actual training to be stronger side of things, that's where he needs to improve. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, well, he strikes me as the type that those big, gross motor patterns of just pick shit up and walk with it, pick shit up, put it on a platform, they just come naturally to him. But that crispness that you need for your deadlifts and your presses and that fine motor pattern when it comes to the technique of the dip and all that sort of stuff in the press, everything like that, that's where he'll need to improve.
Over 3 months or 4 months or 5 months, it takes hours and hours and hours of just drill. And that's what I sometimes say to the guys when getting ready to set for competitions. I'm like, I'm really sorry this training's getting quite boring, but I have to nail it with you so you get it right. Don't get me wrong, I let them off the loose every now and then, and they'll ring me and go, Dale, this felt great today, can I do this? I'll go, yeah, no problem. But if it's 2 weeks out for a competition, you're going to ask me if you can do a max log or something, you'll get told to fuck off. Don't be an idiot, you know? The biggest thing with these guys is injury prevention, making sure they're as fresh as possible, because I'll give you an example. If you've got 5 competitions in the next 5 months, we don't really have much time to build a lot of strength in between that. It's very difficult because we haven't got a solid block if we're training for loads of different events. So the training has to be very structured in the sense of, like, you have to rest these days. You've got to do this that day, right? We're going to have to cut the volume back on that day because you're competing in a week's time and you only competed 2 weeks ago. You know what? It's rock hard sometimes because you tell the lads are sick, but they're tired, but they want to train. And you're like, mate, today we're only going to have to do 3 or 4 exercises to keep you ticking over, because at the end of the day, you pull a hamstring or pop a bicep, there's 10 grand that's going out of your pocket there straight away. Because you remember some of these guys do it for a job.
Yeah.
Especially Gav does it for a job. Andy as well, but I think he's starting to move on to something else now with coaching and that. Ervin still works as a prison officer.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I actually did. I will plug this now because I did see Paul share it this morning. Andy lost his job, I think. He posted on his story. So he check out his story if you are watching this and you do live in Scotland somewhere and want to give him a job. Because he did ask out for anyone that was looking for work.
I would have thought that they'd give him more support. So I'll give you an example. If you've got an employee who's doing something what he's doing, they weren't backing him up. You know what I mean? If he needed like 2 days off work either side of the weekend so he could go and travel and then compete and then come back to work on the Tuesday, they taught him about it and he's like, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm a professional strongman now. Like, I'm not going out in the piss all weekend and not turning in for work. I'm actually doing something. Do you know what I mean? Because I give you an example. If you just say, look, I'll take the day off from paid, you know, like, surely it looks better for your company if you've got someone like that working for you. It's not a bad thing, is it? I don't know. Fucking knows. I'm not his boss, you know, but it is what it is.
Yeah, look, it does. There's steps taken. You know, and it'll all come with more viewership, and I think things like the Giant shows getting back on and the Rogue and stuff, they're all starting to get much, much better at monetizing this shit. And the better they can get, the more they can pay their pros. I think a lot of people are asking, why aren't the pros paid more? And where's the money has to come from somewhere. That somebody has to either just give them money or it has to come from revenue. So, once the Giant shows get back up and about, and the Rogue show, they're currently at about 130 grand for first place, 65 grand for second place sort of thing. So there's a bit of coin going around there.
It's like 100 and odd, 60 odd, 30 odd, and then it trickles down. But basically, you look at that, that's the Arnold Classic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the Arnold Final, basically, just with a different name pretty much. That competition, by the way, is absolutely stacked, and the events are nuts.
Yeah.
You see the dumbbell? Oh my God, what the fuck? You're like, it's bad enough just popping 100 kilo or 110 once in a session, and they're doing it in medleys, and then they're doing a yoke into a log.
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
I don't know, that's just mental. The weirdest thing I've heard, but fuck it, it's strongman, innit? Help yourself, whatever.
Better than
and I don't get the Wheel of Pain is the best looking strongman event on the planet.
Yeah.
Visual effect, it's phenomenal.
That is what strongman should look like. Ditch the plates, ditch the I love what Giants Live and what Rogue do. Visually, rather than just go with plates. Sorry?
Yeah, get some tires on there.
Yeah.
I do it when I do pressing. I put tires on the bar instead of a plate because I think it looks better. So what? It's a visual sport. It's competitions. I want competitions to be. Listen, it's not hard. I remember we were over in Finland doing the SCL Worlds, right? And it was a basic frame, but what they've done was they got like this plastic material that looked like beer kegs, and they basically just wrapped them round onto the frame. The frame was like 280 kilo, but it looked like it was about 500 because of the bit of plastic they put over the top. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there is things you can do in an event to make it look pretty, like because strongman's eye-catching. It should be where the audience go, what the hell? Do you remember at Worlds where they used to run with fridges?
Yeah. I was going to say at Giants they do the yoke runs, but they put a couple of Harleys on either side of the yoke. Run with a car, that sort of thing. I think I might have lost Dale again.
I'm here.
Oh, you there? All right, sorry. My internet cut out for a second there. That was my bad.
I remember when Arnold's Australia, that was the same. I think, what was that, 2017 or 2018? And I remember that's when Stand and Submit really started coming out the shelves a bit. And when they started bringing out the dumbbells? By the way,
Silver dumbbell deadlift.
Yeah, man. And then, that was
you won that event, didn't you?
Shit,
I think you won that event, didn't you? The silver dumbbell deadlift?
I come second on that one. I was bragging in the back going, I'll take this one. I come second, so I walked at the back like, we're done. It's meant to be my best event. The heat got to me. But I like the squat as well. Do you know the way it was all set up? That's strongman, the way the squat was set up, with the big cages and things like that. It looks phenomenal. But if you just had, say, 230, 250 kilo plates, no one's going to watch that and go, that's impressive. But you put two big cages on there, it's a completely different dynamic, isn't it?
Yeah. You know what fucking happened on that event? I went down to the first rep, stood up with it, and I come up so fast because my brother had done the knee wraps up so fucking tight, I couldn't walk. He's done it up so tight. I come up so fast, the bar's gone flying up on my back and then slid down. It was sitting about the bottom of my rib cage, and I'm sitting there trying to squat with it. I did 6 more reps, looked up at the ref and going, how many am I on? He goes, 1. I was like, no. I went and contested it, and the promoter said, it's all right. You didn't do that deliberately. I know you're not cheating and trying to mistake it, but everyone, when we were measuring up, everyone was going close stance, high bar squat, and then everyone, when we competed, went low bar wide stance to try and maximise the depth.
The advantage. I remember what people were doing is though, but when you do a squat like that, you've got to remember, because you're hitting like the pads or the barriers, whatever you call it, you've got to be careful of like the double dip sometimes, where like one side just dips, and I was finding loads of lads who were going too fast on the way down. They weren't catching the knock-on right, and they were literally just going bang and flying out of it. Like they were just coming out the back of it, and that's what I was watching. I was thinking, go slow. Because you see at Worlds as well, don't you? When the lads are doing the squats, they're flying, and next thing you know, they just end up ballsed out. It's so difficult, that event. It's really hard to get it right.
Yeah. Well, the guys are the best at the squats at Worlds. The three guys that come to mind when it comes to squats at Worlds, or four, I'll say, Brian, Eddie, and Big Z, and more recently Martins. They're all very slow, methodical squatters. They don't fucking dive bomb. They come down nice and slow, and then they just trust their power.
Have you noticed the side of suck the weight into the sponge, you take it slow, and then propel back up quite nice and quick? It's a smart way of doing it, but I think we're looking at this Rogue Invitational over at the end of the month. I've already said my top three. Top five for that for me is Novikov, purely off form and events that are there. I think Littis is going to come second, Mateus, Shaw, JF. That's what I've said anyways.
I think that's a pretty good call. I wonder how many points Mateus loses on the deadlift. In that field as well. If Brian can capture some of his old form, he's got the heaviest deadlift out of that field on that bar. I think JF will actually get close to a world record if he's on form as well.
Jerry as well, isn't there?
Jerry's there, and Mikhail. Both of them very big deadlifters on that bar.
Rob Kearney's not a bad deadlifter either.
Yep.
Rob Kearney's not bad either. And then
Rob, I don't know if he'll be completely in form after his tricep and his cancer. I don't know how close to his best he's going to be.
Yeah, because I was thinking that. I was thinking on the York and log, that's something which he'd absolutely relish when he's like fully fit.
Well, they're his two best events, and they've moved a bit. He'd be spewing, though, because he can only get maximum points on one event for that, not two.
Yeah, they've absolutely conned him, haven't they?
Yeah. He'd be thinking, yoke, log, two best events, two first places. Oh, fuck, it's the same event.
Yeah, you're right, mate, as well. But I think you're right there about Mateus. I think just for me, off form, Novikov this year has been the best strongman this year all round across the full competitions for me.
Yeah.
If I'm honest. I think Evans had a fantastic year as well. Luke Stoltman's had a great year. And Trey Mitchell's really starting to show what he's all about as well. He's a dangerous bloke.
Trey could be really dangerous. Like he's got that dumbbell. He won the dumbbell at the Shore Classic, actually. Beat out JF and Brian.
Have you ever met him before?
No.
His back is the biggest thing. He looks like a stingray.
Are you talking about Trey or JF?
Trey. His back is absolutely ginormous.
Because I was going to say, the biggest back I've ever seen was at that Arnold's that you did, and it was JF walking around shirtless before the Stones. And it was like...
Yeah, he's huge. He's absolutely massive, him like. But yeah, Trey Mitchell's an absolute monster. Huge bloke. What is it? He does something daft, like no tacky and all that, and he picks up like 180 stones like they're nothing. They're all dusty and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's actually more than that. I think it's something stupid, like over 200 with no tacky.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? It makes you feel sick.
Yeah, some of these numbers that they put up. I do want to touch on some of the numbers that you put up that make me feel sick as well, because some of your gym lifts are the most ridiculous shit I have ever seen. So you've got your deadlifts are up around the 400 mark, and your logs around the 180 mark, and that's all under 100 kilo body weight.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the more ridiculous lifts that are going around, like you're doing like 300 kilos seated good mornings, is that right? Have I remembered that right?
About 360 kilo on a seated good morning for reps.
Oh. That's
360. Dead start off the pins, up. Good mornings, 330 kilos standing good mornings, things like that. Do you know what the problem is with me sometimes? I'm my own worst enemy. So, what was it? Arnold's Australia, I've had a good crack at. Arnold's Spain, I had a crack at. Arnold's America, I was good apart from I tore my hamstring off. Things like that. It's just sometimes with me, I'm one of them people, I get into my own head worse than anyone sometimes. So like when I pulled that under 90 world record when I was the first person to lift 4 times bodyweight on it, that day, there was nothing in the world that could have stopped me pulling anything I wanted on that day. But I'll also have some days where I go, fucking hell, Dale, what on earth's wrong with you? And like, that's my head. If I'm in a good place, I lift very well when I'm happy. But I'm still one of them people who still struggles to grind things out if my head's a little bit foggy. And that's completely down to me. That's my own problem. Not for I ain't got anything wrong with me. It's just sometimes I can literally get on top of myself. Like I put a bit too much pressure on myself. But since I've had the year and a half off where all these numbers have come up, I feel like I'm going to be a different animal when I compete at like the 105 and some open shows and things like that. I've got a target of smashing out a 190 log this year as well. I've got some training to do today, and I might be going for a world record either on the 30th of this month or the 20th of next month, depending on where I'm at.
Yeah, is that in the log?
Yes, we'll go for a 190, yeah.
So you're going to take Ambi's record if you can?
Well, if I can, because he's absolutely phenomenal. But technically, I push press / strict it, so...
Oh, we're going to play that game, are we?
Yes. I'm only joking, by the way. I think you're amazing, mate. It's just, it's just a little joke that people have in that. But yeah, no, that is overrated. Well, his whole strongman game is amazing. His overhead is phenomenal. It's just I love like different styles of pressing. So obviously, you get some like, listen, if I could split jerk and lift my weight, I would definitely do it. 1,000,000% I would. No, not a question. But I'm just technically absolutely shite on stuff like that. So yeah, the 190 is going to be the 200 is the big goal eventually. But the 190 this year is something I've set my sight on. I'm not one for chasing like British records and that. I think world records count for something. Do you know what I mean? But that's just my own mental approach to things.
Yeah. Would that be the first person ever to press 2 times body weight if you were to get, say, 200 at 100 body weight or 210 at 105?
Oh, in male strongman, I do believe so. I can imagine there's some weightlifters out there who absolutely blasted that.
Oh, yeah. But for a long press or an actual press, yeah.
Yeah, I would believe so in strongman. But it's something that I do believe is possible. I've always enjoyed deadlifting and stuff, but deadlift doesn't really get me going because I don't want to sound like a dick, but because I've always naturally been quite good at it. I struggle to get fired up for it in the sense of like with a log because I've had to work so hard on my overhead. I feel like proud of how well I've done with it. Does that make sense? Because it was like always touch and go, but now I'm trying to get things right. I really, really look forward to doing it now. Same with stones. I used to be absolutely dog shit at them because I was just picking everything up wrong. But once I've fixed my technique and spoke to a few people, Dan Ipkiss has sorted me out, of course. I've really come into my own with that sort of stuff, especially on runs. Do you know what I mean? Like, I still feel I can hold my own with anyone in the top 10 in the world. I want to be that person who, if you compete against me, you're going to have a rough time. I'm not saying now I am going to be the world's strongest man, but I truly believe static strength all around, I'm possibly one of the strongest men on earth as a 105er. As a strong man, there is people better than me, but I'm working every day to be better as a person. I just like to know if I turn up to a competition, everyone goes, right, I better be on my ball here because Dale will get me if I don't. Do you know what I mean? I just enjoy the competition side of things, you know? I'm there to compete for myself and to make things as messy and ugly for other people as I can, you know? Yeah. And if I do well on a podium, then absolutely buzzing. But if I don't, if I do my absolute best on a competition day, I'll never complain.
Yeah. And so on that, what are your competitive goals? Like where do you want to go in the next year or so with competition?
World Cup in Russia, 1,000,000%. Definitely want to go to Russia and do the World Cup.
When's that?
1 million. It's next year in Russia. They won it last year. It was the 105 World Cup, so I want to do that. I want to do a team competition in Ukraine with Team England. So the Ultimate Strongman, Valkyrie, he runs things like that. I want to take a Team UK over and try and do forwards and go to the World Team Championships. I definitely want to do that. I want to qualify for UK's Strongest Man. as a heavyweight, and then I want to do a 1,000-pound deadlift and a 200-kilo log in my lifetime.
That'd be a pretty impressive resume if you can get that done.
I know you've got to have goals, don't we? We've got to have goals, but if I get 3 out of 5, I'd take it.
Yeah. I think most people would take that. I mean, most pro strongmen are looking at a fucking 1,000-pound deadlift at 150, 180 kilo body weight.
Yeah, I think I might look like a plump if I do it. Like, I'll be about 130 kilo eventually. I can look like I'm about to drop down dead, but I'll try.
Yeah. Righto, mate. I think we are just about done. Do you want to plug your social media accounts for me, please?
Yeah. I'm on. Follow me on Instagram, 3D Strength. If you've got any questions about Strongman, anything about training, I'm always available to talk to absolutely anyone. I don't ignore messages, and you'll find a lot of my content's very I try to be very informative to people and put things in a very simple manner and explain why I do things. I don't like using long words and things, but I'm just here for Strongman to grow. I want Strongman worldwide, everyone to come together and just love the sport for what it is. Men, women, whatever, I don't care what level you're at, everyone from the foundation to the pros, we're all in it because we all love the sport. Pure and simple as that.
Awesome, mate. Well, I will. I'll link everybody to your socials as well. Thank you very much for the chat. It was a great chat, very informative, lots of training content. Really good stuff, mate. And we'll chat again soon. We'll do some predictions videos. Maybe I might have something in the pipeline where we get together and fix somebody's deadlift or fix somebody's overhead press or something. So
why don't we get Luke Reynolds on and we'll have a three-way one?
Okay, that could be messy, but we'll do it.
I like it, buddy.
I'll mention to Luke that we're doing that. I won't tell him what we're doing. I'll just invite him to a call one day and just kind of.
I'm just there like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, mate. I really appreciate it.
No worries, mate. Thank you very much for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy your weekend, mate. And good luck with the future. Wish all the best to all your boys in competitions over the next couple of weeks as well.
Thank you,
and
mate.
we'll chat soon.
Yeah. Thanks, pal.
No worries, mate. See ya.